Guys, Mike Hedge here, head trader at True Trading Group. February 20th, we are going to learn more from a trade that I did not make than we are going to learn from a trade that I did make. If you watched my video yesterday, I caught a big short on ICPT yesterday. Okay, so we'll go back to yesterday's chart. Here was my entry on the ICPT short yesterday, and here was my final take profit. So I caught this big short on ICPT yesterday and had a big day. Coming into today, ICPT was still on my watch list as long as it stayed below 120. Okay, 120 was a key area for this stock yesterday. Okay, so here we are at this 120 level. You can see once we broke below it, came resistance. And what I'm looking for here on ICPT is if we stay below 120, I'm going to look to get short and get some continuation on this play to fill this gap completely, which a gap fill would have taken you right here to around 111. Okay, that was my initial game plan on the day. And I was thinking if we got below yesterday's lows, which is right around 115.50, okay, that we would have accelerated to the downside. Was the number one thing I was focusing on this morning. Exactly what I was looking for to happen happened, and I did not pull the trigger. But that is not where I feel I made a mistake today. I had a very specific game plan with ICPT, and I had two very specific areas I was looking to get short, and the action just didn't give me the entry that I was looking for. And what happened was the mistake that I made today was mental with ICPT. I'm okay that I didn't pull the trigger, and I'm going to get into that with you in a minute on why I'm okay that I didn't pull the trigger and why I made a mental blunder, because I got so caught up in this ICPT that I missed this short. I had a big day yesterday. Today could have been an even bigger day if I caught this trade. And you know, it's unfortunate that I'm looking at this thing at 118 and all of a sudden it goes all the way down to 99. Could have been another big day, but it just wasn't in the cards for me. And I got too caught up in the morning watching the stock just crash and crash and crash, and it affected me mentally in the sense that I started to lose my focus, and I let a lot of other good setups this morning get away from me, and I not trade them because I was too hung up on ICPT and missing the trade. That is the mistake that I made today. It's a mental one. It's not a physical mistake that I made because I didn't pull the trigger. There were two very specific areas that I was going to look to get short ICPT. One was around 118, 117. The other was around 115 at two different times in the morning. And I didn't get the bounce back on either one. So let me get to the chart, and I'll walk you guys through what I'm talking about. So here we open up, and as soon as we open up, we just collapse right down to the low of the day very quickly. Minutes into the day, we're at yesterday's low. And once we got to yesterday's low, I was hoping for a bounce off of yesterday's low, okay, that can take me back up towards like 117. Let me, oh, no, that's not going to work out. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to adjust these candles. Okay, I'm looking for like a little bounce like this, 117, 118. I would have looked to got short a tier 1 position right here, stop loss up at 120. And then if we broke below yesterday's low, I would have added tier 2 and then rode the wave down. That was my initial entry plan with ICPT, and I was ready to get short between 117 and 118. We never got a bounce. There was no bounce whatsoever off of yesterday's low. You see, we went straight through it. So right off the bat in the morning, I'm looking at this stock at 119. Before I blink, it's at 113. And I'm like, oh man, I'm missing the move. Once we broke through yesterday's low, I said, okay, once we start to bounce back, I'm going to look for a bounce back to retest yesterday's low. Then I'm going to look to get short in front of yesterday's low. and then ride down the second leg of the short. I missed that first move. I missed the front side short. I want to try to catch the backside short now was going to be my game plan. We never got the bounce back. Okay, we only made it back to 114. I was ready to get short at 115. I missed it by $1, which in ICPT is nothing. Sometimes the spread is $1. So in this stock, to be $1 off my entry is nothing. It's like pennies on a small cap. We just never got the bounce back that I was looking for, and then you can see it just rolled it over. We got denied at VWAP in the trade line, and it just collapsed. And I wasn't ready for this collapse. I wasn't ready. I guess I could have maybe gotten short somewhere in here. I just wasn't ready for this. Happened very quickly. Once we bounced back to VWAP in the trade line, we busted through the low of the day within seconds. We dropped like $3-4 within, or $3 within, a minute. So I wasn't ready to be hitting the bid. I was looking to try to offer out in front of yesterday's lows, and I just never got the bounce back. And then at that point, I would have been chasing the stock down. And the same lesson of chasing a short down it's the same thing when you're chasing a stock long. It's just chasing is chasing. And at that point, I would have been chasing the stock. I don't like to short at the low of the day. I like to try to wait for a pattern, wait for a bounce back, and scale myself into that short. I just didn't get that type of trading action. So even though my thesis and my analysis on the trade was correct, the trading action didn't line up for my strategy and for my style of trading. And that's okay, because that means that I had enough discipline to not chase the stock after I didn't get the 2 entries that I was looking for. So I had the discipline to not chase. Yes, this is an example where chasing would have worked out. Okay, there will be examples when chasing will work. Okay, nothing works or doesn't work 100% of the time. I say that all the time. But you have to do things that are going to, benefit you in the long run. And chasing is going to hurt you in the long run. You can't change your risk tolerance, your rules, your style just because of one trade. You have to look at big picture. If you made 100 trades, okay, if you chased a stock 100 times, whether long or short, yeah, sure, maybe it works out 20 times. But the other 80 times, you're going to get smoked. You're going to short the low of the day, or you're going to buy the high of the day. Okay, so you've got to do things that are going to help you excel throughout the length of your trading career, not just something that will help you catch one trade. Okay, because like I said, there is nothing that's going to work 100% of the time. You have to play the averages. So my mistake today is not pulling the trigger on ICPT. That's not the mistake. I'm okay with not pulling the trigger because I had 2 very clear areas that I wanted to get short. One was a bounce back to right here. The second was a bounce back to right here, and I never got the bounce back. So I wasn't comfortable chasing the momentum to the downside as the stock fell apart. I wasn't comfortable entering the trade at that point. So you've got to let it go, and that's okay. Okay, it's okay to have the discipline and not to chase it, even though, yes, this time it would have worked. Just like Garmin today opened up and just ripped right off the bell. Yes, that would have been an example where chasing would have worked. But there's a lot more examples where it doesn't. So my mistake today is mental in ICPT in the sense of I let it affect me too much that I missed this trade, and it caused me to miss opportunities elsewhere in the day. Okay, so that's kind of what I wanted to talk to you guys about. It's a little bit of a mental thing, and it's funny because we learn a lot more from the trade I did not make today than we are going to learn from a trade that I did make today in KNDI. All right, so let's get to, let me delete all this, and let's get to KNDI trade. So here we are, guys. KNDI, big gap up, was on everybody's watch list today. It was really active pre-market, and we opened up and ripped. What I liked about KNDI was good volume off the bell. Okay, let me pan this in a little bit so you can see more clearly. Great volume off the bell, consistent high increasing volume as we ripped higher. I went ahead, I drew out my Fibonacci retracement levels, and I started to say to myself, the 23.6 Fibonacci level starting to hold. But what I liked was the slowdown in volume during the pullback compared to the high volume surge off the bell. So once I saw the 23.6 fib, VWAP, the trade line was coming up into play, that this support area was starting to show its face, I decided to get long a tier 1 position right there at $8. I'll take it to my trade announcements on the day. Long tier 1 KNDI $8, stop loss 770. Going to add tier 2 through 820. I ended up changing where I'm adding my tier 2. I'll explain that to you in a minute. But there's my tier 1. My stop loss was going to be right around this previous pivot low. Okay, so what I'm looking for right now, guys, is a trade line and VWAP crossover to push the stock through the high of the day. Okay, I almost exited this position. Okay, I almost exited this position right here. Okay, if we got down maybe 5 more cents and we got down to that, I probably exit that position right there. I probably stop out of the tier 1 position. I had not added to the trade yet at this point. Okay, and then when I start to notice, once that area held support and we start to climb our way back up, what I start to notice is a little bit of kind of a triangle pattern with that lower high. Okay, you see this lower high right here. Here's your high of the day. Here's your lower high, and you see support, support. I'll draw it out for you. Help you some arrows. I'm going to make things a little bit more easier for you. Here's the high. Okay, here's your lower high. And you can see this little triangle pattern that started to form. I added to tier 2 at 811. Right. Oh, a little higher. Right here. Okay, so right there at 811 is where I added to a tier 2 position, looking for the trade line and VWAP cross. We started to get a little bit of an increase in volume, and I was looking for a break through the high and a squeeze up towards 875. We got the break through the high of the day. I took some profit off at 842. Then I took more off at 835 when I saw we just were not extending. I was playing this for a short squeeze type move and an extension. We didn't quite do it. Okay, we broke through the high of the day. There's your high of the day. Let me go and delete this. Clean this chart up a little bit. Okay, so you see we broke through the high of the day, and I took profit off twice right within those 2 candles because we just weren't extending. We just couldn't go. And then once we rolled it back over, ended up selling out the last piece of my position right there at 806. So you guys see tier 1 at $8, tier 2 at 811, took some off 842, took more off 835, and sold out the rest at 806. So we're still a profitable trade. It wasn't a home run by any means. Certainly wasn't what ICPT could have been. But I had a big day yesterday, short ICPT, and my goal today was just to kind of add on top of the day. So I did that. So I am happy that I was able to do that. But the lesson of the day really goes to the trade I did not make on ICPT. If I caught this trade again after the short I caught yesterday, if I caught this, it would have been 2 huge days back to back. It, can make your entire month in just, a couple trades, but it just wasn't in the cards. And I'll have comfort in knowing that my analysis was correct. And sometimes you just have to find peace, like within yourself, to say, you know what, my discipline prevailed today, and that discipline caused me to miss this trade, but that discipline is going to help me out way more in the long run than it's going to cause than it is compared to you missing this trade. So don't let one trade affect your rules and your style. You've got to be disciplined. You've got to stick to what works. And chasing does not work, okay, in the long run. Yes, in this case, it would have, but in the long run, it would not. And when I had 2 very specific areas that I was trying to get short, I didn't get my entry opportunity on either one. It just didn't happen. The setup I was looking for didn't come. It was just a momentum collapse in the morning. It just wasn't in the cards for me, and I had to let the trade go. But I think I harped on it a little too much this morning, and that's why I think I made a mental mistake in ICPT, because there were a lot of other setups that I could have focused on, and I could have made some good trades in, but I was too distracted with ICPT, and I harped on it a little bit too long. So that's the mistake I made today. It's not making the trade, okay? And that's it. I'll see you guys in chat tomorrow. Take care.